Majid Memon, Pinky Anand argues persuasively that just because in the odd instance the law was misused doesn't make the law bad. She says that the Supreme Court has heard similar cases in the past, never struck down the laws. It exists in 9 other states, including in Madhya Pradesh. If it hasn't been struck down now, it means the Supreme Court so far hasn't taken a view against the law or similar laws. Majid Memon.
Well, with respect, I would differ with my learned friend Pinky ji. And see, I must explain the reason why I find this particular law as untenable and would be struck down if it is properly challenged in the days to come. Justice Gupta, I have heard him today, I have heard him even earlier on some other channel, and he has also pointed out as to what are the flaws in the law. Now, first and foremost, I must tell you that what is love jihad? You see, the term love jihad itself is a misnomer as far as a law, anti-conversion law is concerned. You may call it straight away anti-conversion law. It's okay, but don't name it as love jihad, because love is a word which is a feeling sublime for a human person. But jihad is the practically exact opposite of love. That is war against one's conscience, or war against religious war, or anything of you may call it. The love jihad by itself, the nomenclature itself is wrong. Now let us come to the spirit of this law, the provisions of this law. I would emphasize on saying that, well, you see, these terms which we find in this new law, the term called allurement, inducement, deceit, coercion, or whatever, these are all well-defined terms under different laws, under the penal code or contract act, etc. And people of this country, lawmakers and the law enforcers and the administration of justice also is aware as to what are the implications of each of these terms. In law of contract, you would find that a contract would be void or voidable, you see, if the consent is not free from all these elements. Now, same thing applies here. Now, here, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh was apprehensive, or certain leaders from BJP were apprehensive. This is the undercurrent which led to formation or conception of this idea of having a law like this love jihad law. The apprehension was that several Hindu girls are being falsely deceived or induced, and they are made to convert into Islam, and then they are being embarrassed, or they have been coerced to embrace Islam. Well, I think if we talk, for number one is in our whole country, take it not as just Uttar Pradesh, but the whole country, the average marriages, average conversions for marriages are how many percent? It could be barely less than 5%. So 95% people are out of this reach of this law. Now, conversion from A religion to B religion is to be treated exactly on par with conversion from B religion to A religion, which has to be always borne in mind if you are believing in equality and fairness to everybody in the country. Now, one very important factor which I would want to point out to your viewers. Now, see, conversion per force, conversion with any of those elements which I enumerated earlier, like coercion, allurement, inducement, threat, or deceit, or whatever it is. Any act or any consent secured by such elements is no consent by an adult. You see, there are two important things. Number one is that the consent has to flow from an adult. If you are not an adult, you have consent is no consent in law. If you are an adult, then your consent has to be free from all these elements. And if the consent is not free from, or is suffering from any of these elements, then that consent is no consent in the eyes of law. And therefore, even in the absence of this new law, asking anybody to agree to marry, or agree to convert, or agree to deliver, or agree to abstain from doing something is itself an offense.
Oh, absolutely. Ujjwal Nikam, that's an important point that Majid Memon makes, that allurement and deception is already illegal under current existing laws. And therefore, the government of Uttar Pradesh and elsewhere didn't need a new law to ban what is already illegal.
One thing I will add just before I wind. See, this is why this law is violative of several rights. Right to privacy, right to profess religion, right to choose a partner for life, right to marry. Because here, as Justice Gupta rightly said, that if you look at the provisions of this law, if I have to change my religion by choosing a partner and everything is fair, I have to wait for 2 months.